Well, have you heard the huge news? This week there have been some explosive discoveries when it comes to finding out what's inside of your Miniverse products. Brand new hacks that are going to tell you exactly what's inside of every product. Not just a weight guide, no. Actual markings on the outside of the ball that are going to tell you what's inside without opening it. I was just hours away from uploading when I found out. Now I've added all the extra details, making this the most comprehensive guide to MGA's Miniverse that you'll ever find. And so, if you've been trying to find that one specific item from Miniverse Cafe Series 2 and you're sick of buying capsule after capsule only to end up with a bunch of duplicates, then you're in the right place. Today we'll be covering all the hacks for both waves, taking a comprehensive deep dive and a very close look at all the items from both Wave 1 and 2. I'm Christy of Crafty Magic Dolls, and I'm back with another video in my complete Miniverse series, Hacking the Miniverse. I'm publishing all the tips and tricks you need and have been eagerly awaiting. In today's video, we're knocking out 24 items, both waves of Cafe Series 2, because I know that you want these hacks while you're still able to find the products on store shelves. The only thing I want to tell you first is that if you haven't already seen the video introduction to this series, it has now been edited and re-uploaded, and that video covers everything about how to use these guides, including things that you should always have on hand and what tools you'll need to make the most of these guides. You can go watch it here, and the link, as always, will be down in the description below the video. My highest priority right now is to get this channel caught up, so that as new Miniverse products launch, you're getting the new guides quickly, while they're still helpful, so that you can find everything you're looking for in your local stores. I didn't originally want to do both waves together, but so many of you have been asking nonstop when the videos for Series 2 and 3 would go live, and since I want to get them to you as quickly as I can, this video is going to cover the entire series. As new series come out and new waves release, the new videos will follow. So let's do this. Hey babe, will you run my intro? After the backlog of videos go live, I'll be adding all the data from each series to my Instagrams, so infographics of these hacks can be found all in one place. I'm trying really hard to catch up, to get all the previous iterations of these Miniverse videos edited and uploaded so the guides are out for every product that's already commercially available for sale. I'm doing my best to get to the point where the videos will come out for the new series as the new series are released. The more you like and share these videos with fellow collectors, the more people who engage by liking, commenting, and subscribing, the sooner I can pay an editor that can help my content come out more quickly. And with all that out of the way, let's get to the Miniverse Cafe Series 2. Cafe Series 2 released the product in two waves. The first wave of balls released contained 12 different food and drink items. The Miniverse Make It Mini Cafe Series 2 Wave 1 consisted of grape soda, orange soda, cherry slushie, orange creamsicle float, unicorn popcorn, vanilla pedifors, classic macarons, chocolate dipped strawberries, choco churros, a hot dog with mustard, and yellow corn nachos. Wave 2 came out approximately 6 weeks later and contained 12 additional and distinctly different items. The items in Wave 2 were blue raspberry slushie, root beer float, cherry vanilla float, mac and cheese, caramel popcorn, salted soft pretzels, royal macarons, chocolate raspberry pedifors, white chocolate dipped strawberries, birthday churros, a hot dog with ketchup, and blue corn nachos. Unlike many of the other Miniverse series, all of the 12 items available in Wave 1 were also available in Wave 2, which was great. Unlike the Diner Series 2 and the Lifestyles, when their Wave 1 series came out, it both had items that were exclusive to them. This means if you started collecting a little later on, or you weren't that interested in the series to begin with, or if you just weren't able to find them in your area, you might not have ever gotten some of the Wave 1 items. When buying a Wave 2 ball, you have the chance of finding any of the 24 items that were released in the Cafe Series 2 line, so that's really great. With this guide, you should be able to go out and find whichever items that you still need. In other series, when Wave 1 disappeared from stores and you could only ever find Wave 2, something I'm seeing now with the Series 2 Diner and the Series 1 Lifestyles, there are about a dozen items that were part of those Wave 1 releases that seemingly disappeared forever, and now tons of people are frustrated and struggling to find a goldfish, a yellow-bellied slider, a birthday cake, or ravioli. There are others too, those are just a few that people keep messaging me about looking for on my Mercari shop. MGA Entertainment has been extremely frustrating in how they organize and release their products. And even more frustrating, MGA doesn't differentiate the Wave 1 and Wave 2 products on their own website, or when they're providing product codes for major retailers. So if you were to go to Target or Walmart online and order Series 2 Cafe Miniverse items, you could receive items from either wave, and there's no way to know, or to make a request of which one you might receive. You're just not going to know until the items arrive. It's important to understand that just because you see a photo of a Wave 1 item on a website, that doesn't mean that's what you're going to actually get when you receive it. And that's because all of the Cafe Series 2 items are sold under the same SKU, or in the case of Target, the same DPCI number. This is an issue that's made things very frustrating for collectors, and one that's made these guides all that much more crucial. because with so many new products coming out, you can't very well be expected to be buying dozens of items from each series just trying to complete your collection. The good thing is that you can easily identify the Wave 1 and Wave 2 products when you see them in stores by just looking at the packaging. Both the product boxes and the individual capsule wrappers are completely different for each series, and from Wave 1 to Wave 2. The Cafe Series 2 Wave 1 items come in cases with an image and a sample product of the classic macarons on the front of the box. Those are the ones with the pink, yellow, and orange cookies. When Wave 2 was released in stores about 6 weeks after Wave 1, those cases came out with the sample product of unicorn popcorn on the front of the box, and the capsule wrappers displayed the image of the unicorn popcorn on the front. The unicorn popcorn came in a bowl with a pink stripe and included regular popcorn kernels in addition to pink ones. Now that you know how to tell the two waves apart, let's get on to actually identifying the products in the ball, without opening them, of course. I trust that you already have your scale handy, and with the brand new hacks that just came out, I suggest adding a really good magnifying glass to your Miniverse hunting kit, especially if your eyesight's not the best. But in the event that you don't, there's an affiliate link down below the video, and I'd really appreciate if you use it. Okay, so let's get into the meat and potatoes of why you're all really here, the actual hacks. So let's get started with the lightest item in all of Cafe Series 2. From Wave 1, we're starting out with the grape soda. Of the 84 sodas that I opened, the grape soda was consistently the lightest ball in the entire box. This Wave 1 item comes with a plastic to-go style cup with lid, a round purple paper coaster with Sun Fizz Co. printed on it, a disposable plastic drinking straw, a bag of ice cubes, and a bottle of grape soda resin. To find a grape soda, you're going to look for balls weighing close to 64.21 grams. When checking for the pinhole for the grape soda, you're going to look at the bottom right-hand side of the bag of popcorn. Do keep in mind that even though in this photo you can clearly see where the spot is, the actual pinholes are extremely tiny. Take a look at this video I made using the macro lens on my cell phone camera. See if you can spot the pinhole before I actually point it out. Did you find it? How about now? Does that help? See what I mean? It's tiny. The difference between the diner and cafe items is pretty clear. The cafe items tend to include more drinks and more simple recipes. They're less expensive, $6.99 USD compared to $9.99 USD, because there's only a few ingredients in each one. Assembling the grape soda is really straightforward. Just open the takeout cup and fill it about halfway with ice. Pour in the grape soda resin and add that lid to the takeout cup. Remove the plastic drinking straw from its wrapper and add that to the drink as well. Remember that when you cure the resin, the lid to the soda is not going to stay on permanently unless you're careful to apply a thin layer of resin to the top edge of the cup. That way, when the resin cures, the lid is permanently attached. I suggest that you use the drinking straw to stir the ice cubes in. You'll want some of them lower in the glass and others floating near the surface to make it look like an actual soda. Because a carbonated beverage, it makes the most sense to stir the resin so that you actually introduce some bubbles into it. And that's the grape soda. Now, let's take a look at a very similar item that was also in Wave 1, orange soda. Despite the fact that the ingredients are almost identical, the orange soda does consistently weigh just slightly more than the grape soda. The orange soda weight comes in, on average, at 65.01 grams. This item consists of a clear plastic drink cup and a matching lid, a red disposable drinking straw, an orange round paper coaster printed with the Sun Fizz Co. logo, a bag of ice cubes, and a bottle of orange soda resin. On the Wave 1 ball, you can locate the pinhole just above the actual box of macarons on the packaging. Again, remember the dot in this image is not to scale. On the Wave 2 ball with the popcorn on the front, you're going to find the pinhole on the bottom left under the logo. It can become especially hard to see if the pinhole is on the actual line. This is why I find it so important to have both the weights and the pinhole locations. Assembling the orange soda is just as simple as the grape. Open the cup and fill it about halfway up with the ice cubes. Take the drinking straw out of its wrapper, using it to stir the soda until the ice cubes are thoroughly coated in your resin. Add a little bit more resin and a few more ice cubes to top off your drink. I suggest using the tweezers to introduce a very small, thin layer of the resin to the top edge of your soda cup so that when you cure the resin, the lid is permanently attached. And don't forget to put the drinking straw into your soda, because once the resin is cured, you won't be able to introduce the straw later. And that leads me into this important tip. So here's where we get to play, is it ADHD or is it just me? What if you actually did cure the resin in your drink and you forgot to put straw in? What would your plan of attack be? Could you even fix that? There absolutely is a way. I've got you covered. For my fellow ADHDers, my spoonies with chronic pain and brain fog, my fellow stressed out, distracted parents who aren't getting any sleep. Whatever the case may be, whatever the reason, you got distracted and you accidentally cured the resin without the straw in it. But don't worry, I've got a fix. As a person that's honestly made this mistake multiple times, I found a solution to the problem, and this is what you need to do. Just gather your drink. I made a cup of Coke with my extra resin for this demonstration. Get together whatever resin you have, whether it's clear or just extra resin from a project. a pair of scissors or an X-Acto knife, and your UV light source and safety glasses. Go ahead and unwrap the drinking straw that you didn't remember to put in the resin in the first place. Using the scissors or the X-Acto knife, cut the straw down to somewhere between 1/4 and 1/3 of its full size. Okay, great. Now the hard part. Holding the short straw with a pair of tweezers, either dip one end of the shortened straw into the resin or spread some resin onto one end of the straw, whichever one works better for you. Now carefully feed the resined end of the straw into the opening on the top of the cup. By that I mean the center of your cup's lid. Now this part could be a bit tricky. If you accidentally overfilled the cup and cured the resin, where the lid is supposed to fit snugly inside the rim, you do have a bit of an additional problem because obviously the lid isn't going to fit right onto the cup if there's hardened resin in the way. You could opt to move forward without it, but the drink does look better with the lid on it. Your very best option would be a small Dremel like the kind a salon would use for your nails, but you could always just use scissors or an X-Acto knife and file down the edge to carefully grind whatever resin residue that's preventing you from putting the lid on. But now that you have a shortened straw in place that gives the illusion that the straw goes all the way down into the drink and your lid is secure on the top, you're all set. Crisis averted, problem solved, and I hope this helps bail you out if you ever make the same mistake that I have. Oh, and in case you were wondering about the Coke that I made, one of the most important things I forgot to mention was that because the sodas are the lightest thing in the entire series, they're super easy to find. Which means you can find tons of doubles if you want them. And you might actually want doubles. And why might you want more than one of the exact same Miniverse? Simple, because you could make a million different flavors of soda. I'm personally a massive fan of Rocket Fizz, the store where you can buy hundreds of different weird, crazy, and amazing gourmet sodas, and they carry some truly wild stuff. Have you ever tasted one of these insane flavors? I absolutely love chocolate soda personally. What's your favorite? Be sure to leave your favorite flavor in the comments down below, but wait, why should you comment your favorite soft drink? Why divulge the pop of your dreams? Well, if you subscribe and leave me a comment letting everyone know what your favorite flavor of soda is, you could win a free customized Miniverse kit of your favorite flavor of soda. How? At midnight, February 24th, 2024, I'm going to do a live Instagram drawing where I'll give a lucky subscriber a customized Miniverse soda kit. And all you have to do to enter is subscribe to my channel and post a comment down below with your favorite flavor of soda. For more details, see my Instagram at CraftyMagicDolls. I'll be giving away at least one custom soda to one of my followers who leaves a comment on this video. But if you get this video to 50 likes, I'll give away 3 custom sodas. And if you get it to 100 likes, I'll give away 5. You must be 18 years of age and a citizen of the US or Canada to win this giveaway. Terms and conditions apply, valid only where giveaways of this type are legal. Please see the description below for more details. The next item up is Choco Churros. Chocolate dipped deep fried cinnamon sticks. So let's take a look. This item includes a white rectangular plastic dish, a silver plastic spoon, a light blue mug, blue and white printed butcher paper, a pink cardboard box filled with 4 churros, and a small pot of thick chocolate dip resin. The average weight of the chocolate churros is 65.29 grams, making it the lightest of all the food items in the Cafe Series 2. And this item appears on the Wave 1 balls. You can find the pinhole in the top left corner where the resin pot is printed on the label. On the Wave 2 ball, the pinhole is located just above the Series 2 logo. The first thing I want to mention is that the resin that comes in these pots, it tends to be a lot thicker than the resin that comes in the little pour bottles. It doesn't pour as easily. It's much easier to use a spoon to remove this resin from its container. When assembling the churros, you can either dip one end of them into the resin and cure them one by one, or you can use a spoon to drizzle the chocolate over the plate and attach all the churros together. Don't forget to fill the blue cup with some extra chocolate sauce for dipping, and remember that the cup will not be attached to the plate unless you actually use a small dot of resin and hold it there in place by curing it. This is another reason that I recommend having clear resin on hand so that you can attach the cup to the plate if you want to without having to use the chocolate resin, which would be really noticeable. As you can see, I turned these churros into a frozen moment. I'll be explaining later on in the video how to make that. The next item up are the birthday churros. Appearing only in Wave 2, these were the more creative twist on the first churros that we looked at. The birthday churros are the first item that we're covering that are only Wave 2. So when you're looking for them, you're going to be checking for the product boxes and capsules featuring the unicorn popcorn on the front. This item includes a white rectangular plate, a piece of blue and white printed butcher paper, a silver plastic spoon, a small yellow mug, a cardboard box containing 4 cinnamon churros, a small container of rainbow sprinkles in pink, yellow, and blue, and a small pot of pink-colored white chocolate resin. Only in Wave 2, the birthday churros weigh in at 70.54 grams. The birthday churros are a little bit heavier than the regular chocolate dip churros because they come with the addition of the sprinkles. On the Wave 2 ball, the birthday churros pinhole is located directly above the center of the Miniverse logo. To make these fancy churros, first remove them from the box and place them on the plate, one by one, dipping the churros into the pink chocolate and then adding the sprinkles, stacking them on the paper however you like. Fill your mug up with the pink chocolate sauce, cure the resin, and add it to your plate, and you're ready to serve. Up next, let's take a look at the most popular item in the series, the alphabet soup. My Mercari shop sold almost 3 times as many alphabet soup as any other item in this series. Were you a fan of the alphabet soup, or was there an item that you liked better? I think it was the nostalgia factor that made this one super popular. This item includes a rectangular blue paper placemat that says Shine On, a clear plastic bowl, a silver plastic spoon, a small box of alphabet-shaped pasta pieces, and a can of tomato soup resin. It's a really cute Easter egg that if you look at the image on the alphabet soup recipe card, it actually says Mini ABC. I think it's really funny to think about the fact that someone that works for MGA's product graphics department actually had to take the time to Photoshop this. Average weight of the alphabet soup is 68.12 grams. This is several grams heavier than the Choco Churros and is on average a full gram lighter than the next heaviest item. The ABC soup was one of the most popular items from the Cafe Series 2 Wave 1. The alphabet soup pinhole is located to the bottom left of the popcorn bucket on the front of the Wave 1 ball, located to the bottom left and is typically just outside of the box on the white area. Even today, it's really hard to keep this in stock in my Mercari shop. This is such a nostalgic food, and it totally reminds me of the quick, cheap, and easy comfort food that was a can of Campbell's soup for dinner when I was a kid, usually accompanying a grilled cheese sandwich. Creating the alphabet soup can be as easy or as complicated as you want. I suggest that you pour a few pieces of the pasta into the bottom of the bowl first. Then pour in a small amount of tomato soup and use the spoon or your tweezers to stir the soup. Be sure to stir the pasta really well so that it's fully coated with the resin. That way you don't leave bubbles all throughout your soup. After you've fully coated the original pasta pieces, push them to the bottom of the bowl, making sure to spread them out so it looks like the bowl is filled with pasta. Then quickly cure the resin. Then go ahead and add more soup and more pasta. If you want to actually spill something out in your soup, you're going to need to do that last. Remember to leave a space for your spoon, or to plan on having the spoon embedded in the soup when it's cured. But make sure you make the conscious decision ahead of time. Once you cure the resin, there won't be any place to put the spoon. I suggest that you cure the resin on the spoon with a small amount of soup and a few letters. Again, you can create a fun frozen moment, making the soup splash or spill from the bowl. You can use my trick with the clear piece of plastic to create the illusion that the spoon is hovering over the bowl of soup by attaching a small, thin, clear piece of plastic packaging to the soup on one end and to the spoon on the other, and then coating the clear piece of plastic with soup on either side. Be sure to attach some of the pasta pieces so that it looks like the soup is dripping off the spoon and back into the bowl. And if you spell out something fun, be sure to tag me on Instagram so I can see at Crafty Magic Dolls. The next item is chocolate dipped strawberries. Miniverse calls them choco dipped, but I'm just going to call them chocolate dipped because it's easier for me to say. I was so excited for this item, and I was so disappointed by it. Absolutely let down. But more about that in just a minute. This item contains a case containing 9 full strawberries with leaves and stems, a white rectangular plastic plate, a silver plastic spoon, and a pot of thicker chocolate resin. The average weight of the chocolate dipped strawberries is 69.22 grams. This is only a tiny bit heavier than the alphabet soup. On the Wave 1 balls, the chocolate dipped strawberry pinhole can be located just to the bottom left of the resin. On the Wave 2 ball, the pinhole is also located near the resin, but this time it's to the top left. I'll be honest, as cute as the strawberries are in this set, I was really not impressed with the quality of the chocolate. I've opened multiple products and tried them, and the chocolate is always too thin and doesn't look realistic at all. For anyone who's ever seen actual chocolate dipped strawberries before, the chocolate is really thick. However, the chocolate resin that comes with the chocolate dipped strawberries is so thin and translucent, you have to dip them multiple times and cure the resin in between each dip to actually make it look realistic. The unfortunate side effect of this, however, is that the chocolate on the strawberries becomes really thick, which just really takes away from the end look of the strawberries. For the best looking strawberries, I suggest adding a very thin layer and curing the resin, and then re-dipping the strawberry over and over again, curing in between each dip without making the strawberries look really thick. I tried applying the chocolate using a spatula or a spoon, and I wasn't happy with the look no matter which way I applied it. But I'd be really interested to hear what technique you used. Did you like the look of the chocolate dipped strawberries? If so, how did you make them? According to the instructions, it just shows you dipping the strawberries in the chocolate resin, but I really didn't think that following the instructions made them look good. The next item in the series are the white chocolate dipped strawberries. These are another of the variant recipes in this series. You know, the ones that they appeared in Wave 1, but then they also appeared in Wave 2, but in a slightly different form. It's not surprising that the white chocolate dipped strawberries are going to be very similar in weight to the chocolate dipped strawberries. Weighing in at 69.98 grams, this product comes with a case containing 9 full strawberries with leaves and stems, a yellow rectangular plate, a silver plastic spoon, and a pot of thicker white chocolate resin. The white chocolate dipped strawberries only appear in Wave 2. Remember, if you're looking for them, you're only looking for the balls with the unicorn popcorn on the front. You can find the pinhole for the white chocolate dipped strawberries to the top left of the yellow logo above the unicorn popcorn. If you're having a hard time finding the Wave 1, I've heard they're still at Walgreens. As of February 1st, 2024, I'm still finding the Wave 2 everywhere. So I have to be honest, I didn't have any real luck with these white chocolate dipped strawberries either. While the white chocolate resin was a little bit thicker and a little bit more opaque than the regular chocolate, I still felt that it either came out too thick or chunky or too thin when it came to coating the strawberries. If you have any tips, I'd love to hear them down in the comments. I did eventually get mine to look half decent. I added some nice chocolate drizzle. When I do my video on the customized Miniverse, I'm definitely going to try making out these Pinterest ones, these fancy chocolate strawberries like these tuxedo ones, or these adorable penguins. By spinning the strawberries on a spoon of resin, I got a little bit of a thinner layer, and I was eventually able to coat them fully. It took about 3 or 4 layers before I was happy with them, curing the resin in between each dip. I'm also not a fan of the yellow plate they chose for this one. I think it's very odd. So let's move on to something better. How about some classic macarons, the ones with the yellow, pink, and orange cookies? Just a piece of advice, if you get a chance to take home the promotional item on the front of the box, always do it. You can use leftover resin to make something awesome. So let's take a look at the classic macarons. This product contains a silver baking tray with 4 light pink, 4 orange, and 4 yellow cookies, a slide-open pink cardboard box to house the macarons, and a pink and white liner paper, a silver spatula with a blue handle, and a pot of vanilla cream macaron resin. Classic macarons weigh in at 70.44 grams. Classic macarons pinhole is located just to the top right of the unicorn popcorn opening on the Wave 2 ball. Macarons have probably one of the longest assembly times and are actually pretty complicated to create and have them come out looking good. First, remove all of the cookies from the baking tray. The spatula is going to be really handy here, and you want to use this completely to the exclusion of the tweezers. Remember, the resin that comes in these pots is often thicker than the squeezable resin in the other style of bottles. Use the spatula to spread a very, very thin layer of the cream onto one side of the macaron cookie. Smooth it out as flat as you possibly can using the spatula, and without applying the other half of the cookie, cure the resin. You're going to need to build up a thin layer, otherwise, as soon as you put the cookies together, you might accidentally squeeze the cream out of both sides of the cookie like I did. Next, you want to apply a small amount of the macaron cream to the center and gently close the two halves together, with the flat sides of the macaron and the already cured resin layers facing one another. The tricky part is how to hold the macaron while you expose it to the UV light on all sides. Remember, the UV light is not going to pass through solid cookie. You need to make sure that all sides of the cookie are exposed to UV light so that the small amount of resin that's exposed will actually cure. You know, while you're stressed out and holding the 2 cookie pieces together. It's a piece of cake. I mean, it's a cookie, but you've got this. Seriously though, if you find that the 2 halves of your macaron cookies are sliding apart when you're trying to cure them and there's resin on them, you might want to go back to the drawing board. By that I mean, you might want to sand down the inside of the cookie or use an X-Acto knife to score the cookie a few times before you put the first resin on. This will definitely make it easier for the 2 halves of the cookie to stay together and for the resin to cure fully. And that's pretty much it. Even though getting the first one done is pretty tricky, once you get the hang of it, they go together. I mean, you're just basically doing the same thing over and over again until you get all the cookies assembled. And once they're done, they really do look great. Then the only thing that you really have to look forward to is trying to get them to fit in the box. And I mean, you shouldn't have any trouble trying to get them fit in the box. You know, unless you put too much cream in the middle of each cookie, in which case they won't actually fit in the box. But, you know, at the end of the day, if you're a pro like me, they'll fit in the box. And look how great they look. So let's do that whole thing all over again with the royal macarons. This cookie variation from Wave 2 is just the same macarons in different colors. This time we have green, blue, and light purple. Now there was a good reason that royal macarons were a good seller, and that's because they were really hard to find. There was 5 different items that had weights that were very, very similar, and the royal macarons were right smack in the middle of all of that. So let's take a look at these hard to find cookies. This product contains a silver baking tray with 12 cookies in green, blue, and purple. Slide open blue cookie box, a piece of pink and white butcher paper, blue and silver spatula, and a container of the thick macaron cream resin. The average weight was 70.67 grams, but they did tend to weigh a little bit less, just in my experience. The pinhole for the royal macarons is located to the bottom right of the resin container. Just be aware, the pinhole on the royal macarons always seems to be particularly tiny. So you're gonna follow the exact same steps for assembling the royal ones that you did the classic macarons. I decided to tint my royal macaron cream with 3 different colors, using chalk pastels to make them look a little better. I made a green, a blue, and a purple macaron cream in 3 little ceramic bowls, and they're out here in front of me. I really prefer the way that these look, as opposed to using the vanilla cream like I did for the original ones. Assembly of the royal macarons was one of the most frustrating things that I made out of the entire series, but not for the reason you think. Not because they were difficult to find, not because they were difficult to really make, but because when I was doing them, I lost one of the green macaron cookies and I spent 45 minutes looking for it, only to later find it attached to my sweater sleeve. I was so annoyed. Here's hoping that yours goes more smoothly. Kicking off our Cafe Series 2 drinks, the next item is the blue raspberry slushie. These were super easy to find, both the cherry and the blue raspberry, but it's okay because if you have doubles, don't worry about it. You can always just make other flavors. I hear that some of you crazy people like those cola slushies, so you could always make one of those. And if you need inspiration, just stop at your local 7-Eleven, check out their icy selection for inspiration. You could genuinely use leftover resin from any color and it would work. Back when I was a police officer, my partner and I were working the mid-shift. We didn't have a lot in common. Sort of a peace offering, I decided to get him a Slurpee on my way into work one day because I was stopping to get myself one. It sort of became our thing. Like every day before work, we would go get a Slurpee and then we would clean up the mean streets of one of the Gulf Coast counties of Florida. Anyway, I have a ton of work stories. I'll talk about that some other time. Anyway, let's get on with it. The Blue Raspberry Slushie. This item contains a round blue paper coaster with Chill Out printed on it, plastic takeout cup with a domed lid, a red plastic disposable drinking straw, a silver plastic spoon, a plastic bag filled with ice cubes, and a bottle of blue raspberry resin. And the balls weigh around 71.84 grams. The Blue Raspberry Slushie Pinhole is located on the spoon next to the unicorn popcorn. As far as drinks go, the assembly and construction is pretty straightforward, and I just have a few really quick notes. You start by opening up the bottle of the blue raspberry resin, and you're going to fill about a third of the cup. Open your ice chips and add about equal parts of the crushed ice and the blue raspberry resin and stir it together. Only once everything is really well mixed should you go ahead and do that a second time to top off the rest of the cup. If you try and fill the cup too much and stir it all up at one time, it becomes really messy and very hard to mix the resin in with the crushed ice. Don't forget that you'll need to secure your dome lid by putting a thin layer of resin on the top edge of your cup and curing it. And of course, as always, there's the reminder, don't forget to put your straw inside your drink before you cure the resin because you don't want to wind up like me. Alright, so similar but slightly different, the next item is the cherry slushie. It's almost exactly the same as the blue raspberry one. I really wish that Miniverse had at least given us different cups or something that made these a little bit unique, but this is what we got. So let's go ahead next and look at the cherry slushie. These are by far the most prolific item in all of Series 2. When the series first come out, I try to buy full cases, but I often end up grabbing just whatever stragglers are left in the couple of stores that I go to first. By the end of the first week when these released, I had, and I kid you not, 15 cherry slushes. I think in the entire time I've had them posted, I've sold maybe 2. And I had so many that I actually have them listed below cost because I just wanted to get rid of them. This item contains a round red paper coaster with Chill Out printing, plastic disposable drink cup with a domed lid, red plastic drinking straw, a silver plastic spoon, bag of crushed ice pieces, and a bottle of cherry slushie resin. This item typically weighs in around 70.61 grams. So let's be honest, regardless of the weight, you shouldn't have any trouble finding this one. Everything is identical to the blue raspberry one. Literally the only difference between the two is the color of the resin, really. Wave 2 ball, the cherry slushie pinhole is located just to the right below the container of blue sprinkles, sometimes extremely close to or even on top of the black line, and other times it's just very close to the container of sprinkles. There's just not really a lot exciting to say about this one, unfortunately, but there is some good news. In the Wave 2 box, there are 5 total slush, so there is a really good chance that you're going to have at least one. If you did get lucky and get doubles on this one, it's great because you can just make other flavors. Obviously, the easiest way to do this is to use your leftover resin from other projects. If you've seen my Hacking the Miniverse video, then you know that tinting the resin is really easy to do on your own. You don't need anything super fancy or expensive. You can get chalk pastels at literally any art supply store, even the dollar store has them. If you don't have chalk pastels to tint your resin, you could always mix some of the blue raspberry and cherry resin together to get a nice grapey purple, like I did here for these. While it's great to be able to go out and buy your own resin, it's also really great to make the most of your leftovers. The same goes for any recipe, really. You should always keep your leftover resin if you're not planning on giving the container to any children to play with, because the leftover resin can always be used to change or enhance the color of resin for other recipes that you're making. So, what custom flavor are you going to create? Yes, we could have made a Coca-Cola one, those are pretty popular. You could always use the orange soda to create an orange slushie as well. Or you could use the lemonade or limeade to create a slushie with those. Your options are really limitless. Okay, so for the next 2 items, I'm going to be making them together. They're just so similar, identical really, that it would be really crazy to do 2 totally separate items. So let's take a look at both hot dog recipes. Hot dog with ketchup and hot dog with mustard. Here's a really strange fact. For some reason, the hot dog with mustard is almost an entire gram lighter than the hot dog with ketchup every time, even though all the ingredients that come with it are exactly the same. I wish I could tell you the reason, but I don't know what it is. First, we've got the Wave 2 item, hot dog with ketchup. This item comes with a yellow balloon animal-shaped hot dog holder, a piece of blue and white butcher paper, a package containing 4 hot dogs, a package containing 2 hot dog buns, and a bottle of ketchup resin. This item weighs in at around 71.87 grams. This item was only found in Wave 2. In Wave 1, it was the hot dog with mustard. Containing almost exactly the same, this time the item came with a red balloon animal-shaped hot dog holder, another piece of blue and white butcher paper, a package of 4 hot dogs, a bag containing 2 hot dog buns, and a squeeze bottle containing mustard resin. This item weighed in closer to 70.67 grams and could be found in both Wave 1 and Wave 2 balls, making it more likely that you've got the hot dog with mustard than the hot dog with ketchup. The pinhole for the hot dog with ketchup can be found to the top left of the blue sprinkles, and on the Wave 2 ball, the hot dog with mustard can be found with the pinhole just the top left of the big Miniverse logo. As you can see, I've got both hot dog holders and both the mustard and ketchup resin. Since the contents of both packages are nearly identical, I figured it made sense to make both hot dogs at the same time. Hot dog with ketchup came with the yellow hot dog holder, and the hot dog with mustard came with the red tray. Assemble your sandwiches. Oh wait, are we calling hot dogs sandwiches? Anyway, regardless of where you stand on that debate, you're going to start by unfolding the butcher paper and putting it into both of the hot dog holders. This is especially important if you don't want the resin to drip and leak and end up attaching your hot dogs permanently to the holders. Unfold the paper carefully because it's very easy to tear. When you were opening the actual product ball, did any of you actually just tear right through the blue and white butcher paper by accident? Because this has happened to me multiple times. Anyway, logical next step, you're going to take out your hot dog buns and your hot dogs. Don't worry, if you're vegan, you can just pretend that they're Beyond Dogs. I love that the hot dog bun packaging is so realistic, it's even got the plastic clip that holds them closed. You do actually have to cut the plastic bag open to get the hot dog buns out though. So remove your bun from the packaging, and then you're going to pull out a hot dog and add it to the bun. In most cases of the Miniverse products, I really like that they gave us extra food. You're almost going to always find yourself with leftover fruit when you're making items that contain it, but I did think it was a little weird that they gave us 2 hot dog buns, but a package containing 4 hot dogs. I guess you could always cut one up on a plate though. Just remember when you're adding the resin, whether it's ketchup or mustard, if you want the hot dog to still be removable from the bun, you have to make sure that you only put the resin on the dog, because if the resin is touching both the hot dog and the hot dog bun, of course, they're going to be permanently connected together once you cure the resin. While some of you may actually prefer this, you might want them to be permanently attached together, especially if you're making food for dolls for your children, because something like a loose hot dog is going to easily get lost. With several of the hot dogs I made, I actually included both mustard and ketchup on the hot dog, just like I would in real life. I also debated making a pickle relish. I haven't really decided what I would use for that, but I'm thinking some of the lime resin left over from the key lime pie, and then finally chopping up pieces of the cucumber that came from the jar of pickles in the Cafe Series 3 line. The one thing we don't really have a direct substitute for is chopped onion, although I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. What do you put on a hot dog? Did you make any creative hot dog toppings for your Miniverse? Ooh, what do you think that we could use to make sauerkraut? I absolutely know my husband is going to cringe when he hears me say that. Don't forget that there are other ways to customize your Miniverse also. For example, I decided that this hot dog needed a bite taken out of it. You can accomplish this by just taking an X-Acto knife and cutting a small piece off the end of the hot dog. Now, you would have known that you should have an X-Acto knife when making your Miniverse had you watched my first video. Seriously though, if you haven't already seen the original video on hacking the Miniverse, you definitely need to watch it. Anyway, here we go. We've got a hot dog with ketchup and a hot dog with mustard. I think they both look great. I don't know that it was really necessary for Miniverse to have 2 items that were so similar, but here we are anyway. I do hope that we'll continue to get more like entree items like this as time goes on. What do you like better, the foods, the snacks, the drinks? Speaking of snacks, we've reached the caramel popcorn. Although the average weight of the caramel popcorns that I opened was 70.98 grams, the overwhelming majority of the balls that I opened were actually just over 71. I opened a handful of caramel popcorn balls that had weights that were a little bit far off. Not far enough for me to throw them out when I'm factoring in the average, but when I compared the average that I got using the mathematical formula that I created, I actually found that the number was a little bit on the low side, and that you should really look for balls that are just a little bit heavier than the number I came up with. What do you get with this set? A clear popcorn bowl with red stripes, a silver plastic spoon, a plastic bag filled with popcorn, a small shaker container of peanut pieces, and a bottle of caramel resin to top the popcorn. This item weighs approximately 70.99 grams. It's close to 80 grams as you can get, and it only appears in Wave 2. The pinhole identifying the caramel popcorn is just to the top and left above the bag of popcorn in the Wave 2 ball. To get started, remove the twist tie and then cut a small hole in the back of the bag to be able to get the popcorn out. As nice of a touch as it is to include the twist tie, it doesn't actually hold the bag closed. So go ahead and open your bag of popcorn and pour about maybe a third of them into the popcorn bowl. I suggest going ahead and adding your peanut pieces now if you're going to use them, because you're going to want to mix them in with the popcorn kernels really well and thoroughly coat them with the caramel at the same time. It can be tricky to stir all of this in the bowl without sending the pieces flying everywhere. It's especially egregious once you add the resin in, because the pieces not only stick to the spoon, but they also end up kind of flinging out of the bowl when they're still dry. So once you get everything good and coated with the resin though, you'll stop losing as many pieces over the side, and you can make sure that everything looks nice and is positioned well, and that all of the nuts and popcorn are being held together by the drizzle over the top. If you're concerned about anything staying together, you can always add a little bit more resin over the top and fill in any empty spaces as necessary. This will hold everything in place, and you can always sprinkle a little bit more of the peanut mixture over the top if you want to. If you're going to use this for doll food or for photography with dolls, make sure to coat a few pieces of popcorn with the caramel, curing them in individual little clusters. That way you can actually photograph your dolls eating the popcorn and it's not all resined in place in one hard lump. With any of the Miniverse items that you're creating, it's really important to think about, what am I going to do with this? If you're just going to display the item and you never plan on doing any kind of photography with it, you can create everything attached together in one really solid piece and it's not going to matter. But if you want your dolls to be able to pick up and handle the food, it's really important to think about that before you actually create the piece and resin everything together. For creating small individually coated caramel popcorn pieces, I suggest using a silicone mat. You can get one from any craft store, especially in the areas where they keep the clay supplies. Other option is to use tile or a piece of glass, which the resin is easily removable from. After it's been cured, of course. When I get around to making my custom Miniverse video, I think I'm going to have some fun with the popcorn as well. I mean, this is supposed to be kind of like Cracker Jacks with the peanuts and the popcorn and the caramel. But what about like chocolate-covered popcorn? Or cheddar cheese? So many options. Speaking of other kinds of popcorn, how about some unicorn popcorn? Just a helpful tip, if you're looking to get one of the free promotional items and you feel weird about taking the ones off at the store, if you order a full case of product directly from MGA, they will ship you the case and you'll get the free promo item too. They actually mail the box to your house with a full case, exactly like the ones they sell in stores. I promise I know firsthand because I've done it many times. So let's take a look at this weird colorful snack and find out a little bit more. The unicorn popcorn can be found in both Wave 1 and Wave 2 and is very similar to the caramel popcorn, except that it's got more colorful pieces. This item contains a clear bowl with pink stripes, a silver plastic spoon, a small shaker container of blue sprinkles, a bag of colorful popcorn pieces, and a bottle of pink resin, which I'm assuming is supposed to be a chocolate sauce. This item weighs in at about 71.79 grams. Appearing in Wave 1 and Wave 2, you can find the unicorn popcorn two different ways. So on the Wave 1 ball, where the original macarons are featured, you're going to look for the actual box of macarons, and just to the left of them, you should see the pinhole. Just inside or on the edge of the border. On the Wave 2 ball, featuring the unicorn popcorn, you'll find the pinhole just to the left and bottom, underneath of the resin container, in the top square of the label. Because unicorn popcorn was a demo item on the front of the Wave 2 balls, I'm guessing this means a lot of you have one at home that just doesn't have the resin with it. And honestly, of all the demo pieces, the resin really wasn't necessary at all for this item. But if you are creating the item that came in the actual ball, it's done exactly the same as the caramel corn. Just mix together your popcorn and blue sprinkles and add a little bit of the pink chocolate resin over the top. Squeezed resin is pretty thick, but it works well if you just drizzle it down over the bowl and then stir it together with a large spoon. Adding an extra drizzle and a few extra kernels here and there as you need, make sure that no part of the bowl looks sparse, and you can always top it off with a little extra drizzle to hold everything in place. And don't forget to leave a few kernels loose for munching. I think the blue sprinkles really add a pop to this popcorn and make it look great. Don't forget, if you made any of the first series items, you probably have colorful sprinkles left over, and you could always use them as well. Coming up next, we've got 3 different kinds of ice cream sodas. First up, the classic root beer float. Served in a heavy-duty mug. If you have any extras of this one, you should definitely keep that mug for adult beverages, like beer, for example. You know, if your dolls are all of age. That brings up an interesting question. Do dolls need to be vintage to drink, or do we go by the age they're presumed to be in their world, like dog years? You'll have to weigh in on that. The root beer float appears only in Wave 2. This item contains a brown round coaster with Sunco Fizz printing, a heavy-duty glass-style mug, a red plastic drinking straw, a container of old-fashioned French vanilla ice cream containing 4 scoops, and a soda bottle containing root beer resin. You can find a root beer float in a Wave 2 container weighing about 71.38 grams. The root beer float can be located by its pinhole on the left side of the large yellow Miniverse logo. Keep in mind that the pinholes that are located around the large yellow logo are typically very, very tiny, even smaller than the ones that show up on the side panels, near the ingredient photograph, so you may need a very bright light or a magnifying glass in order to find it. Any ice cream soda is pretty straightforward and simple. You're basically just talking about adding soda to a glass and putting a scoop of ice cream in it. Making a resin float isn't going to be that much different. First things first, set up your glass and then open your root beer resin. Fill your glass about 1/3 of the way up and then put in the scoops of ice cream. Use your straw or tweezers to position the ice cream scoops in the glass. Be sure the resin fairly fills the glass in all the way around the ice cream scoops and that you don't leave large bubbles. Really stir the ice cream scoops around with either the straw or your tweezers because you really want to get to the bottom of things and make sure there are no large bubbles in your glass. And of course, don't forget to position your drinking straw in the glass fully before you cure the resin. I know I keep reminding you, but I've done that multiple times, right? I'm just trying to save you guys. Up next, we have one of my all-time favorite in real life flavors of anything, orange creamsicle float. During a particularly bad 6 months when pain was really, really bad from my EDS, I actually lived off of orange creamsicle popsicles. That was the only thing I ate for a solid 6 months. I had to go through these really severe food, I don't call them cravings, but fixations where literally I will go months and months eating basically just one food. There's a handful of takeout places that I absolutely love and I'll never turn down sushi. But does anyone else do this? I've always just assumed it was because my health is so crappy and it takes the choice away so that I don't have to worry about it. No? Just me? Okay, cool. This item includes an orange round paper coaster, a mason jar drinking glass, a red plastic drinking straw, a container of French vanilla ice cream containing 4 scoops, and a bottle of orange soda resin. The creamsicle float appears in both Wave 1 and Wave 2 balls, and it weighs in around 72.95 grams. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. The pinhole for the orange creamsicle float is located to the top right of the large yellow Miniverse logo. I also suggest that you use your fingertip, running it across the smooth surface of the wrapper to assist you in finding the tiny little hole that might be hard to see by the naked eye. I made the orange creamsicle float so long ago I barely remember this. Okay, so we start with the mason jar. This time I'm going to try putting the ice cream in first. So I went ahead and opened the French vanilla ice cream and put a few scoops in my cup, taking care to put the flat bottom of the scoop on the bottom of the glass. Just stacking the ice cream scoops on top of each other carefully, using my little plastic spoon to make any adjustments necessary. I opened up the orange soda resin and began to pour some inside. Pour it into the glass slowly and really let it flow all the way around the ice cream scoops. Once the orange soda has filled in completely around the scoops of ice cream, put your drinking straw down inside the glass all the way to the bottom. Go ahead and top the top off with any remaining soda. Then cure the resin completely, making sure that your UV light reaches all of the resin on all sides of the glass, including the bottom. Looking at this one actually makes me legitimately thirsty for an orange creamsicle float. Great, now I need to go make one of these, but the real kind. So now we are going to move on to the heaviest item in the entire series. And that's really good news because that means it's very easy to find the cherry vanilla float. Oh wow, I can't believe we only have 6 items after this one. So there's 7, including this, but then there's only 6 more items. That's crazy, I can't believe we're already this far through. So one really interesting thing to note is that each of the floats comes with a different flavor of vanilla ice cream, so that's kind of cool. I mean, MGA really could have cheaped out and just given us the same thing over and over, but I really like that we get that kind of variety. I've got so many different tubs of ice cream in my dollhouse. Alright, and last up of the trio, the cherry vanilla float. This item contains a round red paper coaster, a mason jar style drinking glass with a handle, a red plastic drinking straw, a container of French vanilla ice cream with 4 scoops, a plastic container with little dollops of Cool Whip that contain cherries on top, and a bottle of cherry vanilla soda resin. This item weighs about 77.54 grams. You'll locate the pinhole for the cherry vanilla float just above the yellow Miniverse logo on the top right-hand side of the ball. I know, mind-blowing as it is, but we're not doing anything crazy here, folks. Believe it or not, this float is just as simple as opening up soda, putting some ice cream in it, and making sure it looks good. So let's go ahead and start the whole thing off by adding the cherry vanilla soda and putting it about halfway up in the glass first. This soda resin really felt thicker and more sticky than the last 2, and it was also really hard for me to get out of the container. Did you have that experience with any of your resin soda? I know I had to borrow it from a different Miniverse item, but I got out my trusty ice cream scoop for this one. I put in 3 scoops of vanilla ice cream. After trying it both ways, I think it works best if you put a little bit of resin in the glass first, then some ice cream, making sure that you position them down in the bottom using either your tweezers or a spoon, and then adding more resin and filling it up until you get to the top. This sort of allows you to work the bubbles out, both using the spoon or tapping the glass gently on the counter to let the air bubbles come up through the top of the surface, and so that they're not going to be in your drink when you actually cure it. I know we wanted those bubbles to look like carbonation in the actual soda drinks, but not so much in the ice cream soda. After topping off the resin and adding my drinking straw, I'm going to go ahead and cure the resin. Don't forget your safety glasses. Add just a little bit more resin on the top and a final scoop of ice cream so it sits on top of the glass. I think this was the final finishing touch that it really needed. Now we have a tasty, tasty looking drink. Okay, so I want to hear it. Which one was your favorite of the ice cream soda floats? Is it the same kind that you like in real life? My actual favorite thing ever is an egg cream. I don't know if you're from like the New York area or have ever been to that area, but oh my god, if you've ever had an egg cream, it's the best thing ever. Don't forget to top off your drink with a tiny bit more resin and a dollop of whipped cream with a cherry on top. Have you customized any of these? Have you made your own ice cream float or taken any of the ingredients for the ice cream sodas and made anything different? If you did, I want to hear about what you made. If you post any of your creations on Instagram, tag me at Crafty Magic Dolls. I would love to see what you do. I'm going to be turning all of my individual Miniverse items into TikToks, YouTube Shorts, and Instagram Reels, and I'm dying to see what you guys have made. Up next, let's explore the chocolate raspberry pedifores. With a thick chocolate ganache, resin frosting, and fresh raspberries on top, these cakes were perfect. And even better, if you got doubles, you could frost them using any of the other resins and make whatever kind of cake you wanted. The possibilities were basically limitless. So let's take a closer look. This item includes a square tan paper placemat, a 2-level cake display tray, a container of 6 chocolate double-layer pedifore cakes, a container of fresh raspberries, and a container of chocolate frosting resin. The chocolate raspberry pedifores appear only in wave 2, and they weigh about 74.57 grams. If you're searching for the chocolate raspberry pedifores, take a close look at the yellow Miniverse logo. If you locate a pinhole above the highest peak on the top of the Miniverse logo, then you'll know that you found the chocolate raspberry pedifores. Unfortunately, back when I first made these and took all the photographs, apparently there was some issue and I lost a bunch of them. But because I don't want this video to go up any later than it already is, I'm just gonna work with the photos that I already have and show you the finished product. And here they are. This is the finished product. Along with the mac and cheese and the royal macarons, this was the third most popular item in my Mercari shop from Series 2. Look at those strategic dessert drips. Mariah Elizabeth would be so proud. I bet she totally has a pedifore squishy. Okay, enough goofing off. Let's move on to the next item, because hopefully I actually have the photos for this one. So up next, let's take a look at the vanilla pedifores. We have 6 adorable pink and vanilla cakes that are double layer. Again, we're given 8 decorative frosting pieces for the 6 cakes, so you can choose to double up or you can choose to set some aside for a later project. The icing flowers would probably look really cute on the Valentine's Day cookies. This item includes a rectangular tan paper placemat, a 2-level cake display tray of 6 vanilla double-layer pedifore cakes, container of decorative icing pieces, and a container of light pink vanilla resin frosting. The vanilla pedifores weigh in at 75.01 grams. So let's take a look at the much more detailed progression of how I actually made these this time. Are you on the hunt for the vanilla pedifores? Check the ingredient box with the squeeze bottle of resin and look in the lower right-hand corner. The pinhole on these is often barely noticeable, but if you've got the right ball, it will be there. Let's take these beautiful cakes out of the tray and spread them out on a platter. Give us a little bit more room to work. You're going to use the spatula that came with it. This is actually the best tool for the job. It works far better than trying to handle the tweezers. Spread a thin layer of the resin frosting over the top of each of the cake squares. And let a little bit strategically drip down the sides. After all of the cake cubes have been frosted on the top and maybe a little bit on the sides, you can go ahead and apply the delicate little frosting topper decorations that go on top with the flowers. They're so cute. Don't forget to cure each one after making it. Of course, you always have the option of creating the drips that come down the side of the cake and connect them to the platter so that they can't move, but I personally liked leaving mine free so that I could pick up each of the individual cakes. Remember, you can always break out your X-Acto knife and cut out some little bites. Eating these tasty treats is definitely my favorite way to personalize them, of course. Whether you're having a light snack or holding high tea, these cakes are pretty awesome. I mean, they're very versatile as well. Like the cupcakes and cookies, there are a million ways to personalize them. And much like the pair of Series 2 items that I did together, the hot dogs, the nachos are very similar. Because both the blue corn and yellow corn nachos are basically exactly the same except for the difference in the color of the bag of chips, I'm just gonna go ahead and lump these two in together. I have a really exciting guest star joining me for this one today. Well, actually, exciting for me anyway. My newly minted teenager, Caden. Caden just turned 13 a few weeks back. Say hi, Caden.
Hi.
Teenagers are awesome. So what do you think I have you here for today? I'm betting you don't remember me filming this months ago, but I'm finally getting the video finished up and I needed you for this part since you were sort of forced into being part of the video. Do you remember what it was that we filmed?
We made some kind of food.
Yep, yeah. You want to take a guess at what it was?
Some kind of junk food.
Good guess.
Pizza.
No, though I'll bring you back on for the pizza next time. Take another guess.
Just tell me.
Nachos. You remember?
No.
So how about you help out with this item? All you have to do is say, this item includes.
Do I get to plug my YouTube channel after this?
Geez, seriously, kid? No one collabs for free anymore, not even your own kid.
You told me never to work for free.
God, now you listen to my advice? This is your chance to work for exposure. Okay, don't anyone tell him yet.
Alright.
Okay,
Okay.
say it.
Okay.
This item includes
This item includes
a round blue chips and dip platter, a white cup for dip, a silver plastic spoon, a tub of pico de gallo salsa, a bag of yellow corn nachos, and a jar of nacho cheese resin. The approximate weight of the yellow corn nachos is about 75.86 grams. The other nachos contain a round orange chips and dip plate, a light blue mug for dip, a silver plastic spoon, a container of pico de gallo salsa, a bag of blue corn tortilla chips, and a jar of nacho cheese resin. The blue corn nachos weigh in at approximately 75.86 grams. If you're looking at the Wave 1 ball with the macarons on the front, you're going to check the corner of the graphic with the pan of macaron cookies. The pinhole should appear on the top left corner above the cookie sheet. On the Wave 2 ball, you're looking just to the left of the blue sprinkles. The pinhole should appear in the yellow open area beside the image graphic of the sprinkles container. To find the blue corn nachos on the Wave 2 ball, look closely at the large yellow Miniverse logo at the top, paying attention to the open white area just to the left of the main logo. The pinhole should be in line with the top spike. Okay, well, silly me. Apparently when I made the first one of the nachos, my son was not with me yet, so now you have to sit through the yellow corn nachos, and then we'll bring Caden in. First nachos that I made, I was a little confused, because to me, the salsa would be the liquid that you would put in the dip cup in the center and dip the chips into. But then at the same time, if you're given nacho cheese, it seems like that would be the thing that you would pour over the top, and also, I guess, put in the dip cup. I mean, like, the salsa is powdered, and they don't give you a liquid to mix with it, so what are you supposed to do with this, like, powdered pico de gallo? Anyway, so I tried something here. I made a frozen moments using just the nacho cheese, and I left the pico de gallo out altogether. I also made a mini frozen moments with a single chip on the plate here. All right, let me get the kid in here. Kid! Oh, geez, how did you get in here so fast and quietly?
magic.
Okay. Okay, I need you to taste these and tell me what you think.
Pretty good.
Just all right? Like, it's missing something?
Yeah, need something. Salsa?
That's why I wanted a second opinion.
I mean, they're not bad. Yeah, I'd eat them.
Well, there you go. The official verdict from a teenage boy, for what that's worth. They just could be a little better.
Okay. So is that everything?
Yeah, you can go back to your games.
I thought you said I could plug my channel.
Yeah, I'm gonna put a link in the description. Tell the world, what's your gaming channel?
Subscribe to Gorilla Man GT!
Okay, well, there you go. Check out his Gorilla Tag videos.
Okay.
Are we good? Did that cover every... Where did he go? Man, that kid. After all that planning, and I still ended up only making one of the 2 plates of nachos. All right, so I am back, and I have the blue corn nachos here. Very minor differences. There's literally almost nothing different. One of the only things I do want to tell you about, specifically about the nachos, really doesn't have anything to do with the actual product, the food. I just wanted to warn you that when I was opening a bunch of these, there were multiple times that I almost lost the little dip cup that goes in the center, or the chips and dip plate, and it's really easy to lose it because it gets stuck in the corner of the paper bag that it comes in. And so I did want to put that out there for you. If you tend to be opening multiple Miniverse and you're like kind of in a hurry blowing through it, like you're not making the resin parts right when you open them, I know I have a tendency to like open tons of them at a time. And so, yeah, I almost lost the cups from these so many times I can't count. Between these and the little clear ones that come with the salted pretzels, yeah, nightmare scenario. So times I've had to dig through trash bags to find them. Like literally sitting there with a tall kitchen trash bag that is just completely filled with the trash from inside of the Miniverse. Going back through so patiently with my husband and tearing open every single package all the way, fully open, and double checking the seams to see if we missed anything because of the number of utensils and those tiny little dip cups that I've lost. So credit to my husband because he's the one that always powers through and is like, I'll just go through the bag. I don't want to see you lose pieces. That's how it is, ladies. Get yourselves a husband that will dig through trash bags to find the tiny piece of your Miniverse that are lost. That's when you know you've got a good one. So just be careful out there when you guys are opening all those new toys. We are almost there, folks. We are down to the last 2. It is 7 a.m. I have not slept in like 4 days because I have been working my butt off editing this. I know that is crazy, and anybody that knows anything about editing is probably looking at this and going, what in God's name is she doing? Because there's no like CGI. She's not editing in like a whole animated sequence. Like, what's happening? But yeah, I've been working on this video for literally months, not just talking about like the collecting of the data and the filming and taking all the footage and everything. No, I'm talking about like actual editing. I've literally been working on this hundreds and hundreds of hours. But anyway, let's talk about the last two items, and up now we have macaroni and cheese. Macaroni and cheese can only be found in Wave 2. This item contains a yellow rectangular paper placemat that says Shine On, a large blue pot with 2 handles, a silver plastic fork, a clear plastic shaker container with a silver plastic lid containing powdered herbs, a box of elbow macaroni style pasta, and a jar of cheddar cheese sauce style resin. If you're trying to find the Series 2 ball containing the macaroni and cheese, you're going to search for a ball that weighs close to 73.63 grams. And you'll also want to take a close-up look at that wrapper. To find the macaroni and cheese, you're going to look for the pinhole that is directly next to the pink and white striped popcorn bowl. It's going to be on the left-hand side, just outside the border of the image. Hands down, the standout star of this series. First, part of the diner series, we didn't have a whole lot of really substantial foods. We had a lot of snacks and really light things and drinks. The macaroni and cheese wasn't a single serving, it was a pot of food. Enough to feed an entire family. Plus, as far as the look, not only was the resin accurate to portraying the actual cheese, like the color and consistency was perfect, like it actually looks like a tiny bowl of real macaroni and cheese. The quality of the resin was so much better than most of the others, like the alphabet soup, where the resin was just too transparent to be an accurate representation of the actual soup. It just felt off and artificial. It was very clear that it wasn't what it was supposed to be. At the end of the day, I think that's what's really special about miniatures, is that that's where the fascination is that you're capturing the exactness of something, but in such a tiny way. I mean, any company could make a hunk of plastic that looks like pizza, but it's gonna look like a toy pizza or like a Barbie pizza, but it's not gonna look like a real pizza that just happens to be tiny. So for MGA to come along and release these miniature toys and really put time and effort into making the ingredients to really represent the foods that they're supposed to be portraying. I mean, macaroni and cheese was really the first time that they absolutely nailed it. The resin with the macaroni and cheese could not have been better. It was exactly the right color, and it was the right consistency as well. It's no surprise to me at all that the macaroni and cheese was the best-selling item of any series since the Miniverse products launched, because the mac and cheese was dead on. I mean, it literally looks like someone took a pot of macaroni and cheese, baked homemade mac and cheese like you would make at home in the oven and put breadcrumbs on, and shrunk it down to doll size. Okay, so let's take a look at the last food in the series and stick around till the very end because I have a very important infographic which shows all the weights and pinhole hacks for the entire series, so don't leave without saving that. First, let's finish out strong with the last one, the salted pretzels. So let's take a look at the last one of the 24 items from Series 2. We've got the salted soft pretzels. What a great snack. And being from the Philly area, this one's close to my heart. Definitely pause to read the tips on this one because of all the items in this series, this is the one with the most important tips. Seriously, take my advice on this one. I threw out the first 2 of the little clear cups that are meant for your mustard because I didn't even realize they existed. This item contains a wood-style serving board, a piece of blue and white butcher paper, a small plastic shaker container of salt, a tiny transparent condiment bowl, a small cardboard box containing 2 pretzels, and a container of mustard resin. The Miniverse pretzel ball weighs approximately 74.62 grams. To find the pretzels, you're going to look at the outside of the Wave 2 ball, paying special attention just to the left of the bag of popcorn. Be careful and look very closely because when the indent appears on the black line, it can be almost impossible to see. So let's put this final snack together. Go ahead and gather all your ingredients and everything that you're going to need, and clear yourself a little space. Take your pretzels out of the box. Now, I did differ here a little bit from the instructions. I actually used a little bit of my own clear resin, and then I salted the pretzels first. I thought it would look really weird to put the mustard on the pretzels and then to salt them, because that's not how pretzels work. If you have some Mod Podge laying around, you can actually use that for this too. If you have a matte option, I would go with that because it definitely looks better than the glossy. Once your pretzels are salted, you'll want to lay them out on the baker paper on top of your wooden plank for serving. If you do have chalk pastels handy, I suggest dusting your mustard with a tiny bit of brown. Don't stir it in. Let the little flecks stay inside the yellow resin. This makes it look just like spicy brown, which really is the only kind of mustard you should be using on pretzels. That's what happens when you're from the Philadelphia area. You become a pretzel snob. Sorry, I just can't help it. Put a thin line of mustard on both of your pretzels, and don't forget to fill the condiment cup as well. I used my clear resin to attach the cup to my platter so that I didn't lose it again. Of course, you have the option of attaching your pretzels to each other and the platter, but I chose to keep mine separate for photography and snacking purposes. I also cut a bite out of one of my pretzels. Really careful when doing that with the sharp X-Acto knife because you really have to apply a lot of pressure and it can be really easy to slip and cut yourself. And so there you have it, folks. That is the entirety of Series 2, both Wave 1 and Wave 2. But wait, stick around a moment longer because I have something really important. Probably the most helpful part of this entire video. Last thing I promise. Please take a moment, comment, and enter my contest to win. Don't forget there's a post on my Instagram with all the details. Also, please let me know what you think of the video. I appreciate your patience. These clips will be shared to my Instagram account at Crafty Magic Dolls. Thank you so much for watching, and please reach out if you have any questions. See you really soon with the Lifestyle and the Diner and Cafe Series 3. I can't wait to hear from you guys in the comments. Thank you.